Welcome to another deer season 25. By now, if you've been following along the series, you've seen our start to the season where we've had some fantastic success, both in Missouri and now we're going to the great state of Iowa. It's not often you get to tell the story of a legend, a hero, a deer that's been on the farms and had pictures of him for the last 5 or 6 years as a mature deer. We estimate this deer to be 9.5 years old. It's one for the ages, that's for sure. Myself and Wade got into a stand and we had no idea what was about to unfold. I think this deer, really, when you look at the picture history we have with him and the hunting history we have with him, which is very minimal, really tells a story of health. He's a survivor. I mean, we had EHD in 22, 23, 24. It's also touching us here in 25. Through those years, he started out with incredible promise. We were trying to kill him 5 years ago. And then things started to go downhill a little bit with him. You could tell his health was deteriorating. And I think sometimes we look at a white-tailed deer herd and think everything is created equal. But a lot of different things can nag at them because they go through so much during the entire year, but especially during the fall. Natural mortality is much greater on bucks than it is does because they move so much. I personally believe the species is built for about 3.5 or 4.5 years old. If you look at the way their life cycle goes, it's very difficult to get a deer to 5.5 or 6.5 years old. It is absolutely against all odds, with all the disease and all the different things they have working against them, to get them to 9.5 or 10.5 years old. It's almost impossible. It seldom, if ever, happens. That's why this guy was an absolute legend, one of the toughest deer we've ever harvested, because he was such a nighttime buck on all of our trail cameras. You know, deer are slaves to their stomachs. Grant Wood said that phrase to me some 25 years ago, and I never forgot about it. And I think that trend gets heightened as they age. And I think they are indeed slaves to their stomach, to where they start daylighting a little bit more as they reach an older age. You seldom get the opportunity to hunt a deer that's 7.5 plus, but when you get in that situation, you really want to key in on food, and that was the exact strategy we were going to use on this deer. I remember this deer, we thought he was 5.5 or 6.5 the first time we ever saw him. We had great summer pictures of him that year, and we were going in of a morning to hunt this spot because we felt like we could catch him coming back to bed. We saw a few deer, and then all of a sudden we caught a glimpse of a giant down in the timber.
Oh, he's nice. It's the forked one, I think, Perry. That wide deer? Yeah, I think. He's really wide.
I don't know that we got much footage, but we did get a little, and that was the one and only time that I saw this deer. No doubt about it, this was on the fringe of his home core area, but home cores, I think, shift through time based on the dynamics of the population during those times. In other words, if there's a very dominant buck in an area and it is the prime habitat, he may keep everything else run off. And it might be another buck's turn to suddenly be the dominant buck, and then you add EHD into the equation and you take a bunch of bucks off the landscape because they've succumbed to the disease. Suddenly a buck that wasn't as dominant becomes the dominant buck, and he takes over the prime habitat. Dispersal is a big part of the overall species. If you have the food, you have the cover, you have the water, you have the does, there's going to be mature bucks if they're on the landscape. Fall of 2025 rolls around, we get pictures of him during the summer like we always did. This was the best rack he had ever worn in his life. There was no doubt about it. He was going to be a major target yet again. One thing we knew for sure, he loved this one particular spot, and we planted it this year, and luckily that biologic looks as good as it's ever looked. Palatability's at a peak, the clover looks great, we've had some rains, this deer's daylighting, the stage is set.
Well, we've been working on the farms all day. And one good thing about cameras, they'll tell you when you need to be in and when you don't need to be in. The sun's almost ready to set, but this field is super late. But when they start moving, they rock and roll here. So we've got a farmer cutting to the south, which probably won't hurt us. We're gonna go over here to a beautiful plot. This is actually where Will killed his doe during the catch a dream hunt. Myself and Wade are gonna jump in this blind and have an evening. We're going after the oldest buck we've probably ever hunted. Big, wide, giant, what used to be a 9 point. He's now an 11 point. We're calling him the 911 buck. We're going in after him.
We go in, we have high hopes because we've got pictures of this guy, and we go out, we see one doe. DeerCast said it was hot, said it might be slow, and indeed it was. So we're waiting on the front. The front finally gets here. We've got other commitments. Mom's coming in, Taylor's coming in. We had Missouri tags to fill, and we needed a south wind. On the evening of October the 8th, we had our wind, and Wade and I are heading in. What's up, dog?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Bottle of Scent-Away. Yep. And then I got some arrows back here. I'm gonna make a few new ones up, put some Killzone RXs on it. The clouds are breaking up. It's supposed to be sunny, high pressure this afternoon, so I'm excited about that. Coondog's gonna go with Taylor. I'm gonna hunt with Wade. They're going to Missouri, we're going to Iowa, and we'll see what happens tonight. I shoot field points a lot, but once I get into the season, I like shooting the exact same thing that I'm gonna hunt with, just a peace of mind. They fly like a field point, but that Killzone RX, I like to practice with it because it goes into the foam, you pull it out, put the blades back in place, and you can shoot it all you want. I don't then hunt with that head because I'm giving up on that head. You know, it's gonna dull the blades, you could resharpen them, but in reality, I just use it for practice, and that was a broadhead that I had shot a deer with, so then I turned it into a practice head once those blades had gone through an animal. That's the one we're ending on. Always end on a bullseye. All right, heading north, and we're going into a spot that we hunted about a week ago when we had the correct wind. And now we're borderline on the wind, but it's still the general flow that we need because he typically comes from the south. So we're going in there on a southeast. We're at the back end of this front. Oftentimes, the most magical, best movement can be that first south after some north when it starts to warm back up, especially when they're used to warm temperatures. And we just had 2 weeks of the warmest temperatures. So I feel pretty good about the way things line up. We've already done very well throughout this front. Wade killed on the first day, Mom killed on the second day. Now this is the third day, the first warm up. We'll see what happens. He's a big, wide, monstrous old deer. I hope to see him, but I don't expect to see him based on his history.
Killzone RX just buzzed through him like butter.
That is a pretty sight. That's nice. Killzone RX, which is rapid expansion. Slight curvature with a thick, very beefy blade. That looks wicked bad.
We're back in Iowa. We're going in today after last night's awesome hunt with Mom. Wade and I were together with her last night, and she made a great shot on that big Missouri 10 point. Wade and I are gonna slip in, see what we see, and see if we can have a good hunt tonight. I'm sitting here and my mind's drifting back to an early November morning. That had to be 4 or 5 years ago. Perry and I were sitting here and we saw this buck kind of cut across this corner in the timber. He was chasing some other does. Perry got a little footage of it, but not a lot. But that's the only time I've laid eyes on him. Tracy and Mom saw him right here from the window. We hunted him a good bit last year, late season. Myself and Morgan both hunted this deer. He just didn't show up. Big wide deer that now is a 5x5 with a fork G1, so he's a 11 point buck, and just an absolute beast. I hope we see him tonight because it's rare to have a deer get to this age and then also wear his best rack at this age. It's very, very rare.
40 yards. Coming out of the corner.
Oh yeah, I see him. He's standing right in the corner. Here he's coming. Oh, the doe's catching our wind. That's what's wrong.
He's cool.
I know he is. She is not. Just beyond the scrape tree right now. She's got her tail up, high-legging it, looking at him. She's coming straight to us. Can you turn your ozone off? Yeah.
How far is he there?
37. She's wagging again. Tail up. Circling back in front of us again.
He's getting nervous now.
I see it. She's getting ready to run. She's stalling.
I'm gonna switch spots.
Might have to until she gets better. Yeah. Day 37. I can kill him there if I. Oh, you got that. All right, go ahead. I got him. Go ahead.
Got him good. Yeah, you hard shot him.
You sure?
Yep, 100%.
Lots of blood. Just killed him, baby. Just killed him. I hit just a little bit. Hit a little bit right, but it looked like it.
Yo, there's tons of blood. You hit him hard.
I hit just a little bit right. I don't know how I did that, but I got him. He ran like he was dead.
Oh yeah, it was
Was it?
tons of blood. Yeah, just killed him.
I put my 35 dead on, as opposed to 37. Thinking he'd drop. I don't know if he did or not.
You hit perfect up and down. It was just a little right.
Okay.
Nice job. Old giant body
If
deer.
there's a legend that we've had on the farms the last decade, it's him, or the
Yeah.
last 5 years certainly. Literally sitting here where I last saw him and only saw him right there in that corner. And here we are, we just killed him. Finally, what a legend. Wow.
Nice job. It was pouring blood.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, you're positive.
100%. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to look at it real quick
Yeah.
just to be 100% sure?
Yeah.
Wade and I, we see the blood just squirting out of him in the video. We looked at DeerCast and we said, man, it's gotta be aortic arch or the aortic as it exits the arch, but we knew blood under pressure meant we cut something arterial.
Talk about absolute whitetail heaven. Cover all around, big green field, blind right on the edge, safe for anything west or south, and then a blocking crop of vegetative screen from activity at the house.
crazy. He went through there. Yeah, he went to the right out here. Look on the tree. That's a good sign. Remember, it's spraying onto the trees. He ain't gonna be far.
Right there by the log.
Oh yeah. Congratulations. You see that little wide frame sticking up.
Boom, baby.
Nice.
Oh, what a sight this is. What a sight. Holy cow, dude. Holy cow. Whoa.
We take up the track immediately. The blood confirms what we thought we saw. We get to the deer, he's laying there dead. I go over to him and I touch him, and that's when all heck broke loose.
He's a freaking horse, Wade.
Get up. Here, I got you. All right, we're scrambling. Wade's backing up, I'm backing up. Wade falls over a log. I'm trying to give him a hand to get him up. The buck is still trying to get up. Then he goes back down, and I knew immediately we needed a follow-up shot. Followed up with a quick shot, and that was the end of that.
We thought he was dead.
You saw his ear twitch.
I saw his ear twitch. But he wasn't breathing. I thought, well, that was the last of that. So I walked over to him and touched him, and I don't. You were filming him, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But we just made a subsequent follow-up shot, and he's dead now. I think I hit him in the heart with that shot.
That was a perfect shot.
That could have gotten dangerous.
Yeah, he reared up.
But luckily, I was able to get a secondary shot. If he'd have took off running, we'd have been like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But we got him.
You know, in hindsight, maybe I should have waited a little bit longer. But if you look at the hit, you look at the blood under pressure, you look at the incredible blood trail, and then look at the pool of blood, how he had any energy left or how he was able to get back up in the moment, I don't know. I've tracked many deer through the years, perhaps hundreds, and generally when there's blood under pressure and that much blood, they are dead within seconds. For whatever reason, this one had a little bit of energy left. We felt like it was worth sharing to always assume the animal could be alive, so that if a secondary shot is needed, you can take it and put the animal down for good.
I mean, look at that. I don't want to get grotesque, but there's another puddle just like that up there, right there. Tag is notched. He's legal.
Congratulations.
Right. Thank you, Wade. That was fun. And he is just, he lives up to that legendary status. Look at that guy. Just an unbelievable Iowa whitetail. Just unbelievable. Wow. As legend has it, I guess you could call this story. This is a buck that's been around. In my recollection, I saw him once 5 years ago in the plot that we're sitting under right now. And then we always had lots of pictures, lots of nighttime pictures, but he was always around. Here he is, 9.5, 10.5. I'm not even exactly sure how old he is. He's this giant 5x5 frame with a fork G1 and just wears it as well as a deer can wear it. His tines all lean forward. Taylor talked about it today. She said, he looks like Tailwind. And then we're in the blind and Wade goes, you know, that deer looks like Tailwind. They both mentioned it to me today. That was a deer she killed years ago. And you don't see many where it looks like the wind is blowing their tines forward. Well, that Tailwind finally blew him in front of us tonight, and the legendary deer gave me a shot. I hit a little bit right of my mark. He was 35 yards, and the Killzone RX went in there and did some damage, man, because there was blood under pressure right away. I suspect I hit the aortic or the aortic arch right where I hit, but he was bleeding, and I mean, the blood trail led us right to him. That's when the excitement began. I couldn't be happier. I'm so thankful that Matthews is as quiet as it is, because he was keyed up and yet he did not react to that bow or that arrow in flight. That's one of the things we focused on with that Killzone RX, was closing it down, making sure it was quiet in flight. So quiet arrow, quiet bow. He didn't react, and we got the deer.
So that wraps up the story of an absolute legend, this unbelievable deer that gave us so many thrills and so many pictures and so many highlights through the years, and to finally walk up to him and see that unbelievable animal laying there in the woods. It's why we do it. It's why we work so hard. It's why we put all the hours in. It was literally the culmination of a half a decade of hunting the same buck, and to finally see him there, it was unbelievable. Now there's a little bit of a hole, I think, in our overall farm in that particular spot because he's been there for so long. It will be interesting to see who takes that giant spot because no doubt about it, habitat's great, bedding's great. Who's going to move in? Time will tell.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Matthews Archery.